Hey everybody, here we are again, and Munson's Premium Best Bitter. Not here to talk about that. It's nice though. Now, a couple of weeks ago, found we had a washer pump problem with Ulrika, the blonde Bongo that we have. I've got some footage. Ended up, both washer pumps weren't working. It turns out that the front pump, a wire had broken off at the pump, which gave me some spurious readings, but we'll get that. The rear pump had seized. I don't often use the rear washer wiper. I use the rear wiper, but it's generally only when it's raining and don't need to use the washer. So after a bit of diagnosis, I found that power was getting to the front. Both of them going off at once, so I thought immediately fuse. Turns out they're on separate circuits. Both the washer and the pump are on the same fuse. So front washer, front pump, one fuse. Rear washer, rear pump, another fuse. So it weren't the fuse. Tested it, power was getting to the pump, but only just, turns out, because when I shoved my probe in, I must have been touching the top of the wire where it was on the crimp, because the actual crimp had broken. So it was still in place, but there was an air gap capacitor, shall we call it. So I fixed it. I've got some footage I'll show at the end, but then I thought, out of curiosity, I'll see, can you fix the pump? If you catch it early in a pump seizure, possibly. I've seen some posts where, yeah, this is the pump-ish. I've destructively stripped it down, ripped it apart basically. But the electric bit does just pull straight out. Now, the way that the pumps are made, if it starts leaking, this bit shouldn't get water in. The top bit with the electrics bit in shouldn't get water in. But if it starts leaking, because you've got a shaft that goes through from the dry electric side into the wet pumpy side, if that starts leaking, you're going to get water through and it's going to seize up, it's going to rust up. If you catch it early on, you'll be able to spray anti-seize oil, penetrating oil, into this hole where the electrics come from, and if you're lucky, you'll be able to get it to move again. This had seized solid. Now, it is definitely destructive. That comes out easy enough. It just pulls straight out. You get a pair of water pump pliers or a pair of pliers on that end and just give it a right good tug. Don't twist it because you've got electric bits. Technical term. That knows it. That's puts the electricity into your motor, your 12 volts. But both the top cap that used to sit on there, if that was sat inside, we'll take that out. Won't take that out. I'll get a pair of pliers. So the top cap that sat on top, that was glued in place. So I had to destructively remove it. That ain't going back on. At a push it might. But the bottom cap, you probably don't need to remove the bottom cap. That was glued in place. That's definitely been destroyed. But what also has been destroyed, and not by me, let's see if you can see this. There should be magnets lining the outside, of which there are still a few there, but there's also a few in pieces because they've rusted up, and when I managed to get the armature out, the magnets or pieces of magnets have come with it. So basically the motor isn't serviceable. You've got to destroy it to get it apart. Right. Simple though. A wire off on the front motor, and the rear motor, what I ended up doing, I couldn't buy the motors, the pumps are handed. So the front one, they look pretty much identical, apart from the hose on the front one comes out at the other side, which isn't a problem because the hose is long enough to plug on, but as well the connectors are different. So what I've ended up doing, when I took the connector off, it wasn't doing anything really, because the female contacts weren't actually being held in with the connector. When I pulled it out, they came out. Someone has obviously had a bit of a go with it before. So what I've ended up doing is replacing all of the contacts. Well, no, I haven't. What I did was remove the contacts from the rear plug that's on the Bongo and just taped them up with electrician's tape, PTFE tape, and then put them on singly because I've not got it. The plug for the front pump is different to the plug from the back pump, so that you can't swap them over. But hey ho, rather than spending money, all I've done is taken the contacts out, insulated them with PTFE tape, and then put them directly on. So some footage to show what I did, but hey, like, comment, subscribe, see you next time, cheers, bye. Hi everybody, here we are again, another job on the Bongo, and it's fixing the washer pump motors. Now, to get at the washer pump, that's the bottle there. Unfortunately, the leisure battery's in the way, so the battery has to come out. I've already taken everything out. There's a fuse. You need to isolate your positive somehow. I've got a fuse. So everything, I've already done the job. I'm just showing you how I did it. So yeah, leisure battery has to come out. You've then also got to take the battery tray out. There's a screw here, bolt rather, there's a bolt there, as you see it's already out, and there's a bolt at the bottom front, that's already out. There are actually two holes for bolts. I'm assuming there should be two bolts in, but ours only has one in. Right, so I'm going to take the tray out. Right, that's the leisure battery and the tray out. I'll try and give you an overall shot. So to get the washer bottle out, there's two bolts. I've loosened them already. They were already loose. Put them to one side, and then you've got a washer pump on that side and a washer pump on that side. One's for the front, one's for the rear. the actual one in front is for the front. Be aware that there's a pipe on the washer pump. When you take that out, water will come straight through. Because it's an impeller pump, it doesn't stop it from leaking under pressure. So you need to take the connections off. They were connectors, but I've had to replace them just for crimps. So that's the washer bottle out. There's a little bit of a pip at the bottom of the washer bottle. That fits in that hole down there at the front. I don't know if you can see it. This one. Now, the washer pumps are different. That's the one for the rear. That's the one for the front. I couldn't get another rear one, so I've had to buy another front one. Fits exactly the same. The outlet is on the other side, but the pipe is long enough. But the connections are different. Completely. I'm trying to get this to fit. So you can see. So I've had to take one connector off. The other connector wasn't fitting anyway, so I've taken it off as well. And I've got now crimps. I've had to re-crimp one of the crimps for the front because it was busted. That was the reason why the front wasn't working. The reason why the rear wasn't working, the motor's seized up completely. I've tried taking it apart, but I can't get into it. You can take this electrical connector off and get to the insides, but the whole pump is seized. Don't know how to get into that. I'll probably have a bit of a play later. Now that I've got another pump, as you see, I've tried to access it, but didn't get anywhere. So that's it really. Fairly easy. The pumps just clip out. I used the Tommy bar from the ratchet because they're just pressed in. There's a rubber bung here, and if you just ease it out slowly, it just comes straight out, not a problem. And then putting it back together, you need to put it roughly in place, and then put your electrical connections on. I've marked them. I've got red insulation on one, black on the other, and I've marked the negative with black with a Sharpie on both. So it's a simple case of put it in, put your connections on, don't forget to put your pipe on, do the same with the rear, and then put everything back together how it was. Right. Didn't actually take too long. In total, less than an hour. But I've had to buy a rear pump. As I say, it was seized. Couldn't get one, and they were expensive. I managed to find not an identical pump, but a replacement pump for the front, and it was £7.50. Right, like, comment, subscribe. See you next time. Cheers. Bye.